I am 81 years old. If there is one thing I have learned about time, it's that it moves very slowly until suddenly it is gone. I am looking at many of you who are planning your retirement as if you have an eternity to settle your affairs. You think you can carry your old burdens, your big houses, your heavy egos, and your toxic habits into the next chapter and fix them later. But I am here to tell you, as a man who has lived through 2 decades of retirement, you need to get rid of these 10 things while you still can. Because once the door of retirement closes, the weight you chose to keep will become the anchor that sinks your peace. If you don't lighten your load now, you won't be retired. You will just be tired in a different, much more expensive chair. The first thing you must get rid of, and you must do it while you still have the physical energy to move, is the identity attached to your large family home. We spend 40 years building a fortress. We work long hours to afford the square footage, the extra guest rooms, and the massive yard. But there comes a point where the house stops being a sanctuary and starts becoming a landlord. At 81, I've seen so many men spending their precious weekends fixing gutters and mowing lawns for rooms that no one has slept in for years. They are exhausted, but they stay because of the memories. Let me tell you something. Your family isn't the walls, it's the people. Carrying the maintenance and the taxes of a house that is too big for your current life is a massive drain on your vitality. You are trading your limited time to maintain a museum of your past. Get rid of the excess space while you still have the strength to pack the boxes. Downsize your overhead today so you can upsize your freedom tomorrow. The second thing you must eliminate is the burden of financial parasites. This is a difficult truth to hear, especially for fathers and grandfathers, but it is vital for your survival. You must get rid of the expectation that you are a permanent bailout for adult children or friends who refuse to learn discipline. When you were working, you had a faucet of income. In retirement, that faucet becomes a reservoir, a finite amount of water. If you allow people to keep dipping their buckets into your reservoir without a plan, you will spend your final decades in a state of constant anxiety. You are not being a good man by compromising your own security to fund someone else's lack of responsibility. Set the boundaries now while you still have the leverage. If you don't cut that cord before you stop working, you will spend your 80s worrying about someone else's bills instead of enjoying the silence you earned. If this made you feel uncomfortable, good. That means we're talking about something real. Most people want to avoid these hard conversations, but the truth is often found right where we are most afraid to look. Take a moment to breathe that in. We're not talking about being cold. We're talking about being sustainable. The third thing you need to get rid of is the addiction to being busy. In the professional world, being busy is a badge of honor. We wear our stress like a medal of valor. But when the paycheck stops, that need to be busy becomes a dangerous psychological trap. I see men retire on a Friday, and by Monday morning, they have scheduled every hour with useless errands just to avoid the silence. They are terrified of being unproductive, but you spent 40 years being a tool for someone else's productivity. Why would you continue that cycle? At 81, I've learned that the greatest luxury in life is the ability to do absolutely nothing and feel zero guilt about it. Get rid of the calendar. Get rid of the hustle mindset while you still have time to learn how to be still. If you don't learn how to sit with yourself in the quiet now, your retirement will just be a faster, more frantic version of the rat race you just escaped. The fourth thing on my list is what I call legacy clutter. We all have it. The boxes in the attic, the old tools, the collections of things we haven't touched in decades. We tell ourselves we are keeping it for the kids. But let me tell you the brutal truth from the perspective of an 81-year-old. Your kids don't want your stuff. They don't want your old encyclopedias or your heavy oak furniture. When you keep this clutter, you aren't leaving a legacy. You are leaving a chore. You are forcing your children to one day have to clean up the mess you refuse to deal with. Get rid of it now. Donate it, sell it, or throw it away. Lighten your load while you still have the mobility to do it. There is a profound freedom that comes from knowing everything you own actually fits your current life. Don't enter retirement as a curator of a warehouse. The fifth thing you must get rid of is toxic social obligations. By the time you reach 60, you've accumulated a lot of social debt. You see people out of habit or duty, neighbors you've outgrown, old coworkers who only complain, or relatives who drain your spirit. Your energy is your most valuable currency now. Why are you spending it on people who leave you feeling empty? At 81, I guard my social circle with a ferocity that some find cold. I don't have time for relationships that feel like a second job. Get rid of the drainers while you still have the time to build a circle of people who actually look forward, who laugh, and who challenge you to stay sharp. If a friendship feels like a burden, it is time to let it go. The sixth thing you need to eliminate is the irrational fixed income fear. Most people enter retirement with a scarcity mindset. They are so afraid of running out of money that they stop actually living. They stop traveling. They stop eating well. And they stop treating themselves to small joys. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about being reckless or throwing your savings to the wind. It's about balance. You worked for 40 years, so you wouldn't have to live like a starving student. Get rid of that paralyzing fear while you still have the health to enjoy your wealth. If you've planned well, trust the plan. Don't be the richest man in the graveyard who never took the trip he dreamed of because he was worried about a what-if happened. Wisdom is knowing how to save, but also knowing when it's finally time to spend on the things that matter. The seventh thing you must get rid of is unresolved grudges. Retirement gives you a lot of time to think. If your mind is filled with old resentments toward an ex-wife, a former boss, or a sibling, those thoughts will eat you alive in the silence. Grudges are like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. At 81, I can tell you that my peace is too expensive to give away to people I don't even like anymore. Get rid of the bitterness while you still can. Forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to walk into your final act with a light heart. A bitter retiree is a miserable person to be around, and that bitterness accelerates the aging process like nothing else. The eighth thing you need to shed is the luxury car ego. We often use our vehicles and our toys to signal our status. But in retirement, who are you trying to impress? Carrying a high car payment or a vehicle that costs thousands to service just for the sake of an image is foolishness. I see men who are house rich and cash poor because they refuse to give up the luxury car that defined their career. Get rid of the ego while you still have the sense to see it. Trade the prestige for the piece of a lower monthly nut. Nobody cares what you drive when you're 75. They care if you are a man of character and if you have the freedom to show up when it matters. The ninth thing you must get rid of is decisional fatigue. During your career, you made thousands of decisions a week. It's exhausting. Before you retire, you need to automate your life. Get rid of the need to make small, useless choices. Simplify your wardrobe. Simplify your meal plan. Set your bills to auto-pay. The more mental energy you save on the trivial, the more energy you have for the vital, like learning a new skill, engaging with your grandkids, or pursuing a passion that makes you feel alive. Most people enter retirement and find themselves paralyzed by the sudden lack of structure. By getting rid of decisional clutter now, you create a framework where you can actually enjoy your freedom instead of being drowned by it. The 10th and final thing you must get rid of is the myth of someday. For 40 years you've been saying, "I'll do that when I retire." You've been putting your dreams in a box labeled someday. Get rid of that box today. The myth of someday is a lie we tell ourselves to tolerate a present we don't like. At 81, I can tell you that someday is a very short-lived destination. You don't know how many years of high-quality health you have left. If you enter retirement still saying someday, you will never do it. Get rid of the procrastination while you still have the pulse to act. Retirement isn't a waiting room. It is the main event. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The only time you have is right now. Take a breath. You don't have to fix everything today. This is a process of unburdening yourself. And it's okay to take it one stone at a time. The goal is to finish the journey lighter than when you started, not more stressed. I am 81 years old. I have watched the clock tick for a long time. I've seen men carry their work stress and their old resentments right into their final years, and it breaks them. But I've also seen men who traveled light, men who got rid of the junk and the fear, and those men are the ones who are truly alive. Retirement is a chance to be born again. But you can't be born again if you're still carrying the corpse of your old life. Lighten your load, clear your attic, settle your debts, financial and emotional. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to share these messages with you, but as long as I'm here, I'm going to keep pushing you to live a life of clarity and self-respect. Don't settle for a cluttered, heavy retirement. You work too hard for that. You deserve the freedom that only comes when you stop trying to hold on to things that no longer serve you. If this message reached you, if it made you realize that you're carrying too much junk into your next chapter, then stay with me. Subscribe to this community of men who refuse to fade away. But I want to know where you are in this process. If you had to name just one thing from this list that is the hardest for you to get rid of, is it the house, the busy mindset, or the someday myth? Which one of those is your biggest anchor? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And I want to see you cross that finish line with a light heart and a sharp mind. Stay sharp, stay light, and for heaven's sake, take care of your soul.